with a little bit of communication problems, and that is okay because we made it. And even though people may not come on live, this will be recorded and made public with the permission of the powers that be. This day has been a little bit eventful. I want to share this with people. I don't want to talk to myself. Okay, so I sent it. I sent out the tweet to all my tweeters. What an eventful day. And the more I see the headlines coming out, the more I believe this is, in fact, not going to help the truth movement. It's not going to help expose the controllers that be over our system. And it comes down to this, is that yay, yo, yah, is not, your boy is not educated enough in this material subject to come out and be a force for good about it. These people have set up this trap for at least since 1930s, 40s really got enacted with the creation of the State of Israel. But then this plan has been in the making since the publication of the Torah, and then oral tradition before that. So Kanye having other people together with him to speak on subjects with some more experience and knowledge, such as Nick Fuentes, seems like it might be a good thing. But even Nick Fuentes, this is kosher anti-Semitism. And it plays right into the hands of such people as the ADL and Jonathan Greenblatt. Formerly, the ADL was known as the B'nai B'rith, a secret society, very much like the Masons. Except exclusive to a certain people of a certain persuasion. So he just hasn't. So it's a bunch of a sect of Judaism being critical of the people who created it. It's a losing situation and way to go about it, I'm afraid. I got nobody watching, which I have a hard time talking to no one. That's not true. I do videos where I just talk to the camera. But in the beginning of the day, I was excited because I saw that perhaps Nick mentioned Adam, and it turns out it's a different Adam. It's like an Adam, their in-house theologian, not Adam Green. One thing I was hoping for, like, maybe this will bring Adam to the forefront. Have his name being mentioned, Adam Green, and then people go and watch Adam Green's videos on No More News and see how somebody who is a veteran, not a a baby Christian, quote unquote, what Kanye calls himself. And this shows how the Christian mentality, the Christian personality type, the Christian mind, once given a little bit of information about how the power system works, that when they come out, it's in a self-sabotaging way. And so all these things, Kanye West is not mentally prepared. He's not educated. He doesn't know what not to say, what to say. He doesn't know how anti-Semitism falls into their trap and how it's such a sham, and how all these snippets that they're going to take out of this are going to totally hurt the cause. The cause being those of us who are hip to what the situation is, what the reality is, and who are smart enough to know how to go about talking about it, approaching it, not calling somebody else Satan. Satan is mostly a Jewish creation, taken very much from Zoroastrianism and Persian religious culture, and even some from Egypt, and the idea of Set as the opposing force to Osiris. And Horus, who Judaism made Seth the hero. Jonathan Greenblatt is going to be on every news media outlet tomorrow. Adam brought this up, and it's so true. Without stuff like this, is like Jonathan Greenblatt is going to bed tonight with the biggest smile on his face, with his phone text messages backed up, and donations willing to come in because, oh, it's another show. It could happen here. And so they will use and figures, useful dupes. I truly lately don't care what these fools say. I'm busy getting ready for the food shortages coming. Way more important. Well, I condemn you. I mean, I don't condemn you. I condone you taking practical measures. And you know what? I'm going camping tomorrow morning. And I condemn you. I'm going camping tomorrow morning. And I am just going to turn off my phone. I'm going to do this video, say my piece about it. And then, I mean, this station has already been totally buried because I mentioned such names as Adam Green being a beacon of truth. And I don't agree with everything that Adam says. Adam doesn't believe in God, for quote unquote God, or spirituality, or mysticism, or the soul. And I very much purport such things. Not, hopefully not in the Judeo-Christian Abrahamic way. Source, the absolute, the good, the beautiful, the true, the law, and I'm still working that out. I mean, the mystics, I'm into mysticism. I'm a fucking astrologer, a tarot reader, and I believe in the spiritual life. I believe that there's in consciousness, that we're more than just a brain. And then, yeah. So I mean, Adam and I, I'm Gnostic in many ways, but Gnosticism, I break apart from, because from all the Gnostic sects that I've come across, they still teach, and they talk about Master Jesus, and they believe that there's an avatar and a second coming in some way, and so they still, from the Gnostic schools I've come across, coming from Theosophy, And I love Blavatsky. I love Manly P. Hall. Alice Bailey does lots of esoteric astrology, which I like. But then they go into a QAnon type thing where they're waiting for Maatra to come. And then they go into, I think they lose me there, at least. Whenever they talk about Jesus as a historical person and as Israel and Jewish people being a chosen people of God and Babylon as being evil and needs to be burned away, then they lose me. And there's a teacher by the name of Samael on War, who I very much commend, but I do condone him when he talks about Master Jesus as somebody who came here to, sorry, bro. Thanks to, see, and I have, yeah, people looking for gurus and shit. Go find a guru to go sit at their feet so they could really just coerce you into sexual manipulations. Oh, I'm going to open up your third eye chakra by hooking up with you and your best friend and mother and sister at the same time. And you know what? I have to be careful not to think that I wouldn't do something. You open your third eye yourself. That's the only way I would recommend it. But in the West, or rather in the East, that's come to the West, but from the East, they do have this school of thought of finding a master to learn at the feet of. But Gnosticism means experiential knowledge, so that you would have to be the person to come to that. You have a red dot on your forehead naturally. That could just be acne. On my prom night, I had one grow right there. No, I'm joking. I think I did, actually. I mean, the more I learn, the more I see how far away I am from where I want to be. But that doesn't keep me from sharing what I know. And sometimes that does. Sometimes there is this a way to think like, well, I can never teach because I'm so far off the path. In teaching, we learn. I think that's a common thing. We learn as we teach as we learn. If we're just constantly taking in stuff and we're not teaching it, perhaps even if it's fucking wrong, I don't know. But we just get like stuffed up. Like, what's it called when you've eaten and you can't take a shit? You're constipated. No, constipated is when it's going out. Stuffed up, I don't know. I don't get too sick. But it is being kind of a channel. We're all channels. What are we channeling? You know, one thing that Kanye West did bring up that I've been talking about lately is pornography, masturbation, and how it's child pornography and dark occultism isn't that far down the line from that. But what Kanye kind of reminded me of was like when I first had my first coming to spirituality moment that happened in the context of Christianity. So I had a psychological mental breakdown, which is what you want to do because usually your psychology, your mentality is based on some false paradigm. So when you have usually an encounter with death that changes your perspective on things, then it makes you have to come back. You're coming back with a different reality perspective. Now, if that happens, if there's Christian handlers around you, or you're familiar with the Bible, or get introduced to the Bible, then you're going to come through it through that net, that lens. And that lens is set up for you to ultimately still push the narrative that got us fucked in the first place. Thinking that God chose some people over others. And it's the people who wrote the goddamn Bible. Christians didn't write the fucking 90% of the Bible. Maybe even 100% of the Bible. Nowhere in the Bible did anybody call somebody else a Christian. That was a later adage. So, when we can take our experiences, but bring them to a more historical, accurate context through studying and being discerning and critical and trying to walk that middle path of being not overly gullible or closed-hearted or closed-minded. That, I believe, is the best path to take. So, talking about this Kanye thing, he's just feeding the fear of Jews. I happen to have Jewish friends, and the person responsible for giving me the most work as a maintenance person, that's what I am, really, just a fucking handyman, is a Jewish man whose children he had born in Israel. He's like not religious, but he's like a nationalist Israeli. That's what people need to realize. But there's still a religious element in the nationalistic Israelis. Then that gets to like borderline racism. And when he talks about the Palestinians, he sounds racist as shit. And I have to try my hardest to be a good Libra. The sign of Libra is a good lawyer judge. They're able to jump on and see things from another person's side of view. They can be called a spineless jellyfish when they do that, but that's if they really are spineless jellyfish. Geminis are good at the air signs, and Aquarius are good at mentally being able to see things from another person's side of view. Gemini, more one-on-one, or even just in their own head, one-on-one. Libra actually with another person, one-on-one. And then Aquarius with one-on-many. You know who's a Gemini too? Kanye West. Donald Trump. Right now, Mars is retrograde about the station in the sign of Gemini. Mars is action, retrograde, rethinking. Right now, Kanye West is going to want to rethink his actions, probably. Angel, you shouldn't dislike Aquarius people because they're a fellow air sign, so you guys share the element of air, of the mental realm, of thinking, thought, the intellect, and communications. They're just going to be a little bit more colder about it. You, as the first air sign, are going to have a little bit more heart in the way that you interact with others, which is beautiful. But hopefully that's not lends to naivety. But then sometimes you can find Aquariuses who are cold as shit. So we're trying to find that place of equilibrium at Libra. But I know Libras who can be cold as shit too. Usually they dish out fucking karmic justice, Libras. Saturn is exalted in Libra, the karma king. Usually Libras are very beautiful. My mother was a Gemini. My father an Aquarius. Can't decide in Libra. Yeah, because they want to make everybody happy. So sometimes they just sacrifice their own sense of truth and justice for, I won't say peace, but just not offending anybody. Taurus is probably my favorite sign. I'm the opposite Scorpio. Taurus. On Wake Movement, I don't talk about astrology. If you want to talk about astrology, go to thequarian.tv. Because on here, lots of people don't believe in astrology, and that's okay. Because on Wake Movement, I talk about more political, social type phenomena, which is why I have two different channels. Very Geminarian of me. On the Aquarian.tv, I talk astrology all day. But Kanye West is, I brought it up, so that's my fault. Tauruses are the salt of the earth. But they can be kind of superficial and they not into having deep talk so much, but not all of them. We're a laboratory, and so we have all these elements, just some in different percentages. And then depending on our life experiences is what we express, and which really is our aspects in our chart. So you might meet somebody who's a Leo, say that, and Leos are known to want to be the center of attention and on the stage, the front show person. But this Leo person could have their sun, the ruler of Leo, afflicted in a tough aspect to Saturn, the adversary. And then that will be a Leo who won't want to be in the spotlight that much. But you'll find that the spotlight will usually come to them anyways. That's why it talks about free will versus predetermination. And these are things I think about, but I think it's the weather and we can't control the environment we're born into. Our past karma probably determines that, but we can we can control how we act in the moment, and we have lots of our motor instinctual patterns that really that they're a detriment to us really fully exercising our free will power. So I'm getting a little bit tired and I have to go camping. Oh, we have 4 viewers. Yeah, so this whole Kanye thing. At first, when I heard Nick Fuentes mention Adam's name, I'm like, oh my gosh, Adam did just talk about that subject recently. But is he talking about Adam? That'd be great. But turns out it wasn't. And then since I lost hope in that, then I see all these headlines coming out, which I knew were going to come. And then as I thought about what I just watched, and just the optics of it are bad. And so now all those people who have done this hard work, such as Adam and Albert, and even in some ways Nick Fuentes maybe, and those people, which are few, you can count them on fucking one hand, they're gonna just get banned. They're gonna drop the hammer on them because they're gonna clump them together with Kanye West types. Soul Trip in the house, right? At first, I was all excited today. That's why it's been a little bit of an emotional roller coaster of a day. I'm like, oh, this is exciting. Nick's gonna get a chance to speak. He did say some good stuff. But then after watching Adam's stream, I'm like, oh fuck, this isn't good. But well, what can we do? Those are things out of my fucking control. What can I do? I could try to live my best life, which probably isn't chain smoking or drinking every other night, and be courageous, speak my truth, educate myself on these subjects, try to pull myself out and observe things as the observer, not as the observee. Try to air sign, like, be objective and take my own personal, emotional, even experience out, which is almost impossible. It is probably. But at least make that effort to jump in and see things. Let me jump in and be a Jonathan Greenblatt for a second. Okay. Let me pretend I'm Jewish and that I'm from a family of Holocaust survivors and that I've been raised my whole life to think that they're out to get me again. So that will bring me to some place of compassion and empathy for those who are on the Jewish side of this, even the Christian side of this, even the Muslim side of this. But after doing all that, let me not go into escapism world and be afraid to speak up for what I've put together. Let me do that courageously, boldly, not being a coward, not just looking for my own, but looking for not just my own friends and families, but for the fucking world and for fucking generations to come. But let us do this wisely, compassionately, empathetically. Is it the Saturn worshipers? You know what is our problem? That we don't worship Saturn enough. Saturn is here to teach us about the turtle and the fucking hare, the rabbit. The moon being the rabbit moon. Rabbit, 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 bouncing around. Saturn being the furthest planet away rather than the closest heavenly luminary being the moon. And who wins the race? Saturn at the end of the day, because they play Saturn. You could look up to the sky right now. It's a very good time. And you see Jupiter right next to the moon right now. High, exalted in the heavens, the king. And then lower in the heavens and further away and darker, lurking, Saturn, who didn't get picked to be the king, but who is the priest. And who actually the priest who rules behind the scenes. And these people have really chosen that. That sounds bad, but astrologically, esoterically speaking. No kings, no masters, no slaves, no royalty. And how I approach that is that we all take on our own royalty. And if we all do that, then that breaks down the authoritative structure that has been in play, which is an Aquarian type of phenomena. But my friends, in the esoteric teachings, that doesn't happen without the birth pangs. God, even so much of the esoteric teachings of theosophy has still been plagued by this Judaic supremic mindset. I'm against white supremacy. I'm against black supremacy. I'm against Jewish supremacy. The only supremacy that you're not able to talk about is the one who is reigning. When people are waking up to that, are noticing that. And so how can we best take that and nourish it and nurture it and educate it and move it forward in a healthy way that doesn't cast one off as a living spawn seed of synagogue of Satan? Rationally, empathetically, compassionately, but not turning the other cheek and accepting our slavery and servitude, and we are nothing without the cross and Jesus, who is a Jew. And the Jews are better than us, and we just have to accept that. That's my Albert Bashai impersonation. It's horrible. Lovers, reach out and touch the screen right now. May the powers of Amalek, Esau, Edom rise up from the shadows of the shards of the Kelipot, of the Kliptof, and tear down this fucked up brain cage that they've put us in. And let us do it without succumbing to depression, escapism, fatalism, nihilism. Let us be hope, and let us be hopeful, and let us be a reason for hope. Let us be a shining light in the shadow of the tree of life that they fucking casted us in, and invert that on them, these fucking dark goddamn magicians. And how do we do that? By learning. And you know what? It's not an intellectual thing. That helps, and yes, studying, I recommend it, but it's more of a living it thing. I know that sounds a little preachy. So what can we do tomorrow, today, right now, to not give in to this, to be fucking nice to a Jewish supremic person who might want to wipe us off of the face of the earth and the remembrance of our ancestors. It's not so much a turning the other cheek as a passivity ploy, but feeling bad for them. Dog, I know Jewish people who they get taught from day one that they're looking over their back their whole life. Having empathy, even sympathy, trying to put yourself in that place without identifying with it. And then, from that place, we can have a more authentic meeting and conversation. Where we're open, authentic, genuine, looking to learn, and being confident in what we've experienced to teach from the wisdom we've gained from our experiences. It's not cowardice that I want to promote. It's standing up against any form of supremacy and demonizing another person. And Christianity, calling them the synagogue of Satan, just plays into their Esau and Amalek always hating them forever. So then all those things that they were taught as a child are just being proved to be fucking right. And then they're justified in lashing out and striking first as a preemptive measure, when the majority of the world doesn't fucking want to do it anyways. But these actions of Kanye West are are proven to them different, and the checks to the ADL are gonna flow in like the salmon to fucking Capistrano tomorrow. I think I said my piece. And then the fact that, well, the whole waving a net and then having a can of Yahoo next to him, that's funny. He didn't even know who Benjamin Netanyahu was until this week. Educated in these matters. And then people like Nick Fuentes will have to come in and to cover up or add to what he says or specify on the subjects that Kanye Yi brings up, but he's with the fantastical type over the top shit that Nick Fuentes does. It's not good optics. And with him still preaching Christ is King, he doesn't understand the Jewish psyop. So he's still ultimately falling into their trap, like many have before. The only way that we're really going to get out of this is by acknowledging the non-historicity of Jesus of Nazareth. And of Moses, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Esau, Isaac. Abrahamism all together. If we take it from a Gnostic point of view and see these are all purely allegorical, and that any attempt to put them into historicity has been used just as a weapon against the non-Jew, Muslim and Christian alike, then we're not going to make any progress forward. And that's a sad reality. But I never like to leave these things on a negative point, because what I think positively from this is that perhaps people will inch closer to coming across Adam Green's work, who has never espoused Jewish hate or synagogue of Satan slandering. And my hope is that his work will come to the forefront. The pessimistic side of me says that this might even hinder that from happening even more so. But my hopeful part of me will hope for the best. No one's a better person than you. All right, I love you guys so much. Angel, link me up on Facebook. Liam T. Jarrett. JAARRETT. TheAquarian.tv for more spiritual talk, less political stuff. Here at Wake Movement, MVMT Movement, is where we go into the more controversial stuff. I love you guys.